In today's world, there's no shortage of people in their 20s, 30s, and even early 40s who carry a private dream of getting rich. Different plans, different paths, different shortcuts. But if you look around, only a small number actually turn those dreams into reality. Most people don't fail because they aren't smart. They fail because they get trapped in a quiet, invisible prison, overthinking. Psychologist Barry Schwartz called it the paradox of choice. The more options you have, the harder it becomes to move. Too many choices don't make you free. Too many choices can make you freeze. You start running mental simulations. What if I pick wrong? What if I waste time? What if I lose money? What if people laugh? And while you're trying to protect yourself from regret, you unknowingly create something worse, a life where nothing changes. Some economists have pointed out the same pattern from a different angle. Overthinking adds complexity to decisions, and the heavier the decision feels, the less likely you are to act. Your brain treats action like danger, and it treats delay like safety. The problem is, delay has a price. The bill just arrives later. Let me tell you a story. There was a man who sold tofu from a small, worn-down shop. He worked before sunrise, hands moving non-stop, greeting customers one after another. He didn't hate hard work. He hated that the hard work didn't seem to lead anywhere. So every night, when the shop finally went quiet, he sat alone in the dim kitchen and built a new life in his mind. He imagined selling the tofu shop, buying a donkey, transporting salt, slowly building a delivery team, then expanding into something bigger. In his head, it was a clean, logical plan, a plan that could save him. But then the doubts arrived, right on schedule. What if the donkey gets sick? What if the road is too dangerous? What if the salt business fails? What if I lose the little money I have? So he didn't move. The next morning, he sold tofu again. That night, he planned again. The next morning, tofu again. He lived his whole life like that, working hard during the day, dreaming hard at night, and waking up to the same life because he never paid the one price that turns dreams into reality: action. An entrepreneur once said something brutal but true. The disease most poor people can't cure is waiting for the future without doing anything today. A perfect plan that never begins is worthless. A beautiful dream that never gets tested becomes nothing more than a comforting fantasy. And that's the core problem. Most people don't lack ideas, they lack execution. Here's another story. Two brothers noticed an opportunity in the shoe business. Same industry, same timing, same potential. They both decided to start. The older brother moved fast. He hired workers, bought machines, secured materials, and within 2 weeks he had real products out in the market. He supervised quality, adjusted designs, watched customer responses, and learned through real feedback. He didn't wait until he felt ready. He became ready by doing. The younger brother did the opposite. He researched the market endlessly. He read every article, watched every expert, made lists of risks. He worried about competition. He worried about failure. He worried about how he'd recover if things went wrong. He didn't realize that while he was building the perfect plan, time was moving, and the market was moving too. In the end, the older brother's business grew stronger and stronger, and the younger brother remained exactly where he started, still searching for certainty in a world that never offers it. That's the overthinking trap. It feels like progress, but it's really postponement wearing a nice outfit. And it's not just about business, it shows up everywhere. A writer once shared the biggest regret of his life. When he was 24, he attended an industry conference as a young reporter. A man approached him and asked if he wanted to work as the secretary to the CEO of a well-known company. It was the kind of opportunity that could change a career overnight. But instead of saying yes and learning on the job, he went into analysis mode. Am I tall enough? My English isn't great. My personality might not fit. My major doesn't match. What if I embarrass myself? What if I fail? He thought so long that the opportunity passed. Years later, he realized the real reason he didn't advance wasn't the job requirements. It was the doubt inside his own mind. He didn't lose the opportunity because someone rejected him. He lost it because he rejected himself first. A Japanese writer once said that people who stay poor often live trapped inside anxiety, insecurity, and the habit of thinking too much. Overthinking consumes time, drains energy, and weakens the will to act. It turns your life into a constant inner tug of war. And here's the cruel part. While you're hesitating, someone else is trying. A business consultant said it simply: the distance between thinking and results is action. That distance is the difference between the rich and the poor. Because the journey to wealth is not really about collecting more thoughts. It's about removing unnecessary thoughts and turning ideas into reality. There's a man named Pham Hai Dao who once told his story. At 30, he was stuck in a small company with low pay. He wanted a bigger life, so he decided to study abroad. The moment he made that plan, his mind turned into a battlefield. Is quitting worth it? Can I adapt overseas? What about my family? What if I fail? What if I waste years? He asked friends and got mixed opinions. He asked his parents and got worry. He almost gave up, until a teacher told him one sentence that hit like a wake-up slap. Thinking 10,000 times isn't as good as trying once. At least you won't regret it. That line didn't magically remove fear. It simply exposed the truth. Fear doesn't disappear before action. Fear often disappears because of action. So he moved. He started preparing immediately. He passed the GRE, got into Columbia University, earned a master's degree, returned home, built a career, published books, and eventually became a best-selling writer. Later, he said the thing he was most grateful for wasn't luck or talent. It was the fact that he dared to act at the moment when acting felt uncomfortable. Life is full of moments like that. There's a symbolic story from the Bible. A group of people stood trapped in front of a sea. The sky was dark. The water looked impossible, and fear told them there was no way forward. But when Moses stepped toward the water, the sea split, and a path appeared. Whether you take that story literally or not, the message is timeless. When you hesitate, you see only obstacles. When you move, you begin to see a road. On the path to building wealth, there will never be a perfect plan or a perfect time. If you wait for perfect, you'll wait forever. Most people don't fail because they chose the wrong path. They fail because they never truly chose a path at all. So how do you break the overthinking trap? You don't think your way out, you act your way out. Start with a simple action plan. Make your next step small enough that your fear can't argue with it. Set a tiny daily target and improve one step at a time. Use something like the Pomodoro method. Focus for 25 minutes, rest for 5, then continue. Create momentum the way you build muscle. Repetition, not inspiration. And don't do it alone. Build a circle of people with similar goals. Friends, co-workers, a community. So you can hold each other accountable and push each other forward. Execution becomes easier when you're not fighting your own mind in isolation. There's an old saying, a road not walked will never be reached. A task not done will never be finished. Action is the key that opens the door to wealth. Only when you start doing does the future you want start moving toward you. Even Fortune once studied top companies and concluded something that shocks a lot of people. Success is a small part strategy and a huge part execution. Business works that way, and so do personal lives. Most legends are not superhuman. They are ordinary people who simply moved faster than their doubts. That's why wealth tends to favor people who mean it when they say, "I'll do it." Look at Henry Ford. When most people were still improving steam engines, he asked a different question. If a car can run on steam, why not gasoline? People around him doubted the idea, worried about cost, worried about failure. Ford didn't build a perfect plan first. He built a prototype. He learned by doing. And by 29, he created a breakthrough that changed the world. Steve Jobs once said, "Your time is limited. Don't waste it living someone else's life." It's a reminder that life doesn't reward the person with the cleanest mental spreadsheet. Life rewards the person who moves. And Elon Musk once pointed out that even the greatest idea will also occur to thousands of other people. The only advantage you can create is execution, turning ideas into reality before someone else does. So here's a sentence I want you to carry with you. Replace "let me think about it" with "I'll start now." Execute first, improve later. Because every minute you act earlier is a minute closer to the life you want. And finally, remember this: your environment matters more than you think. A family can be a school. A supportive home grows confidence. Constant criticism kills courage. The people around you can either feed your excuses or feed your growth. A home filled with clutter, physical, emotional, informational, creates a life that feels heavy and stuck. A home that stays clean and encouraging creates room for action and progress. I once knew a couple who earned just enough to save money if they planned well. But they never planned. They bought what they didn't need, lived on credit cards, and chased status. When a crisis hit, job loss and medical bills, they collapsed. They regretted everything, but regret doesn't pay bills. Discipline does. When we own too many things, those things begin to own us. Our time, our money, our energy. Cutting unnecessary spending isn't about suffering. It's about buying back your future. And if you want one final story to seal this lesson, remember the story of two monks who wanted to travel to the South Sea. The rich monk kept calculating storms, distance, supplies, and risk, so he never left. The poor monk took only a water flask and a stick and walked. He faced hardship, but he made it. The difference wasn't money. The difference was movement. So if you're between 20 and 40 and you feel stuck, hear this clearly. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a real step. Less hesitation, more action. Brave enough to begin, smart enough to adjust, and persistent enough to keep walking. Because the moment you take the first step, you're no longer just someone with a dream. You become someone who's changing their fate.